Performance cars are meant to be distinctive. One of them is the 1988 XR4Ti. Refined by the Autobahns of Europe and race circuits on both sides of the Atlantic, XR4Ti advances the art of driving. XR4Ti prospects want a car that lets them challenge the road with the response and feel of a sports car. And yet, they appreciate comfort and convenience features. These prospects are among the most knowledgeable car buyers in America. To sell these prospects, you need to know XR4Ti and how to present it. Let's meet a salesperson who knows how to make the most out of product presentation skills. I'd like to introduce Joe Durso of Larry Heron Lincoln Mercury, Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Nice to have you here, Joe.
Thank you.
Joe won the Philadelphia District Sable Sell-Off competition and was one of 16 national finalists. You've sold touring sports sedans before. Is the XR4Ti prospect different?
Most certainly, he is different. If Lincoln Mercury salesman is going to successfully sell this automobile, he must truly grasp and understand the notion of a different customer. The XR4Ti is a very specific car. It's a European sports sedan. It's designed to address a very specific market segment and compete in a very tough world for buying dollars. The XR4Ti customer is typically a bit more knowledgeable, more interested in definition of the automobile, and he has a certain impression of himself and of the product. Most often when the XR4Ti customer comes to the showroom, he's going to pull up in a European car. This is the first key to opportunity in this line. Next, you'll notice that he has opinions. There are lots of things he has to say. He feels he knows a lot about the automobile he drives, and he's looking for a conversation. He wants you to talk to him, and if you're going to sell the car, you have to be prepared to do that.
Is there a special approach or different tips for selling this kind of prospect?
Yes, I think I could offer two bits of insight. I like to use the words identity and credibility. If you're going to deal with this customer, you have to establish your identity as someone who likes automobiles, someone who likes to talk about them, and as someone who's definitely interested in selling one. The first mechanism that you have at your disposal is credibility. And credibility revolves around truthfulness. And the truth is, this is a spectacular sports sedan that'll stand with any of the cars in the class. And as you banter back and forth and make him understand that you're willing to listen as well as sell, you'll establish the credibility that'll allow you to ask him for the money.
Sounds like the salesman better be armed with plenty of product knowledge.
Product knowledge is the key to your credibility, and I like to view it as kind of a two-sided coin. You have to know about your automobile because this is essential to your presentation, but you have to know about the cars that he's interested in, the cars that stand as true competitors for the one that you would like him to buy from you. And it's this well-rounded approach to product knowledge that will be successful for you.
Well, I mentioned earlier that you've got experience selling sports sedans. How does the XR4Ti stack up against the competition?
The XR4Ti is strong in every respect. I have had extensive experience with two multi-line dealerships, and I've successfully sold BMW, Volvo, Fiat, as well as a slew of Japanese cars. This XR4Ti is as good as any of them. I think the salesman will have four very powerful arguments that will stand the test of a demonstration ride to close the XR4Ti customers. First is performance. This car has genuine horsepower. When you go to the gas, the car comes alive. People are looking for this, they like it, and the reaction is always very positive here. Next is a notion that I simply call balance. The weight of this automobile is distributed very, very nicely over the suspension. It's civilized in the tight corner, under power in the turn, and it just instills a confidence, and you just know the car is never going to let you down.
The feel and the response.
Absolutely. It's the coordination of balance and power that brings that feel that people are looking for in the sports sedan class. Next is a more subtle but very important aspect of the car, interior space. This is a hatchback automobile, and no application of the chassis will allow more functional use of the wheelbase than the hatchback design. The notchbacks and cars with trunks that compete with the XR4Ti are typically very limited on space, and the interior room in this car is a very strong selling point that cannot be overlooked. The fourth and final closing point that really makes the XR4Ti a standout buy is the quality commitment program that's in place with Lincoln Mercury. This is a top management decision that has implemented a program to assure customer satisfaction, follow-up, and the truest commitment to the customer that any manufacturer has ever displayed that I have any experience with. When you spend your money on this automobile, you are going to like the car, or if not, somebody's going to know why and do something about it.
A warranty you can live with.
The very best.
Those are all good points, but the XR4Ti must have more to offer. Could you show me the rest in a walk-around?
I'd love to do it. At a glance, you can see that the XR4Ti displays a unique exterior shape. You might call it clean or smooth, but more accurately, it's slippery. To excel in the 80s, an automobile must master aerodynamics. It must move over the road and through the air mass with a minimum of disruption. As you enhance the aero efficiency of the automobile, you improve the qualities of ride, handling, quietness, and the general appeal of the car. Now, besides its general shape, the XR4Ti uses space-age materials to help with the aero efficiency and to add to the durability of the unit. The cover for the halogen headlamps is made out of a new polycarbon. Now, surprisingly enough, this material and the material of which this bumper is made is practically the same thing. The polycarbons enjoy three distinct advantages over metal. First, they are light and strong. Second, the polycarbon won't rust, chip, and dilapidate the way metal does. And third, the polycarbon can be molded. By using wind tunnel and computer, scientists have studied and they understand exactly how the front of this car needs to be shaped. With the polycarbon, they can mold to physically accomplish that shape on the vehicle. You can't do that with metal, which has to be stamped for mass production. These factors and others combine to bring a coefficient of aerodynamic drag of 0.33, which is among the lowest of any automobile sold in the world. Under the low-slung hood breathes the heart of the XR4Ti, the 2.3-liter turbocharged, fuel-injected, four-cylinder engine. With the 5-speed manual transmission, this power plant generates 175 horsepower, which will compete with some of the best 6- and even 8-cylinder engines that are available in the class. The electronic multi-port system is extremely smooth and is found on only the very best automobiles in the world. The engine is kept in constant optimum adjustment by means of a 4th-generation electronic engine control system. This system employs quarter-inch microchips and is capable of processing as many as 250,000 inputs per second.
What is it that gives the XR4Ti its special feel?
Feel is a very elusive quality that is the trademark of the European sports sedans. Feel is actually a function of the wheelbase, which in the XR4Ti you have 102 inches, which is ample for the class. The wonderful P6 Pirelli tires mounted on the 15-inch aluminum cast wheels. Feel also comes from the selection of the variable power-assisted rack and pinion steering, which gives very civilized aspects of control at both low and high speeds. Suspension is also a very important part of feel as well. The front suspension is of the tuned McPherson strut type, which features its own stabilizer bar. This suspension works in conjunction with the rear suspension, which again is fully independent and has its own stabilizer bar. This gives a characteristic smooth ride to the car and allows each wheel to independently negotiate bumps in the road. At the rear of the car, there are also two noteworthy features about the automobile. This new rear spoiler, besides its distinctive styling, has the advantage of improved aerodynamic stability at high speeds. Also at the rear of the car, you'll find a wiper, washer, defogger system, which, besides the functional advantage of improved visibility, adds a very serious element of confidence when you encounter bad weather. You can definitely see out of the rear of this car.
And then it's got one other thing back here that you mentioned earlier, the hatchback advantage.
The hatchback advantage is very noteworthy and must be made clear to the customer. There's no application of this chassis that will allow you to use the wheelbase like the hatchback. The hatchback allows 17.7 cubic foot of interior space with the back seats in position, and when the back seats are folded down, the interior space for cargo capability just explodes to 35.5 cubic foot. This is certainly among the largest of any of the import sedans. As you can see, Larry, all the glass in the XR4Ti is tinted to help reduce heat inside the car and to minimize glare. The rear quarter glass is hinged so that you might add an extra element of ventilation for the rear passengers. The car is protected in the rear quarter panel and full body side cladding with the new polycarbon protectors. You have dual power assisted mirrors that are heated to ensure visibility and are flex mounted so that you minimize minor damage and breakage in small collision situations.
All good points, Joe, but from your presentation, I take it that performance and handling are the keys to selling a sports sedan.
There's no question performance and handling have a lot to do with it, but you cannot underestimate the importance of the interior of the automobile. This is where the person who spends the money sits. If he doesn't like the inside of the car, he's very likely to turn down the entire automobile.
Oh, thanks, Joe, for those solid insights in selling the XR4Ti.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Larry.